What were you like when I was 25? Well, I was obsessed. 25, so that would have been 87. I'd been in graduate school for 2 years. Well, you know, when I was 25 or so, I probably weighed about 138 pounds. I smoked like a pack of cigarettes a day. I drank tremendous amount of alcohol. I was from northern Alberta, this rough little town up in northern Alberta called Fairview, and you know, there were long winters there, and my friends were heavy drinkers, and most of them dropped out of school by the time they were 15 or 16, went off to work on the oil rigs, and you know, it was a rough town, and we drank a lot. I started when I was 14, and you know, and so I had a lot of bad habits, let's say, and things that were, and I wasn't in great shape physically, and I was also still intellectually obsessed by, as I am now, and so that would have been in 85. But I decided around then, about 85, 84, something like that, maybe a little earlier, that I was really going to try to get my act together, and so I started doing that. I first of all I quit smoking. Well, that took a long time because I eventually had to quit drinking too in order to quit smoking, and I started working out. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about today was the fact that, what's the old saying, physician, heal thyself, right? I wrote a self-help book. I'm a psychologist. It's like, well, why the hell didn't I see this coming? And why wasn't I more cautious? And I think those are reasonable questions.
Why should people take advice from?
And then that's the next question is, why should people take anything I say seriously because of that? And I guess what I would say is, if you're going to wait to learn from people who don't make mistakes, or don't have tragedy enter their life, you're going to spend a long time waiting to learn something. And the second thing I would say is, in my lectures and my writings, I've never suggested that I was anything other than one of the people who also needed to learn these lessons. So I included myself in the population of people who needed some moral improvement. And then the last thing would be, you have to make the decision about whether or not to attend to anything that I'm doing based on your own judgment about what I've done and said. And if you find that that's not convincing, then that's your prerogative. And if you find that it's useful, then, well, I'm delighted by that, obviously. And that's as much as there is to say.
Well, I think one of the points of doing this podcast was to inform people so that other people don't have to go through the same thing you went through, because watching it from the outside was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Let's fix all your oppression, and we'll take every single thing into account, and then we'll fix yours too. We'll take every single thing into account. It's like, no, you won't, because you can't. You can't. It is technically impossible. First of all, you can't even list all the ways that you're oppressed. Second, how are you going to weight them? Third, who's going to decide? And that's the bloody thing. Who's going to decide? That's the thing.